this working? Why has it changed the picture now? So this is my first, why's the lighting changing? Lighting. This is my first video where I'm actually sitting down and talking by myself. But I'm just going to go straight into it. Basically, I'm going to tell you what I wish I knew before going travelling and what I actually used there, packing wise, and what I didn't use. Just a little bit of a general outlook. I never even watched any of these videos before I went away, but I know that it would have actually been really useful to know. So yeah, I'm going to start off by telling you what I did and where I went to, just so it's kind of relevant for where you're going maybe. But we went to Southeast Asia, so we went to Thailand, Malaysia, and we went to Singapore, and we were out there for a month. So really not that long, but just to get an idea of the type of things that I had needed. We went in September, and we spent around 2 weeks in Thailand, around 3-4 days in Malaysia, and then around 4 or 5 days in Singapore before flying home. So firstly, I'm going to start off with the things that I wish I knew. I'm going to read them off my phone, so if I keep looking down, that's why. First thing that I wish I knew was the bugs. Now, it might be quite obvious for some people that there are going to be a lot of bugs in Asia, but I don't think we understood like quite the extent of how like big of an issue it was going to be. Honestly, there was about 5, 6, 7 new bug bites a day on my legs, and they were so itchy that I actually couldn't sleep at night, and some nights I'd wake up multiple times because I was just itching, and it was horrible. We bought bug spray and it was not like working. Didn't really do much. If you're planning on going without bug spray, bad idea. If you're planning on going with some bug spray, make sure you actually get like a really good one. I probably would have spent a little bit more money on buying like a really efficient good one that's for all different things, because just the amount of bug bites that we had. And yeah, so the bugs, big thing. Now the next thing is clothes drying. Now, for some people, like I said again, it might be very logical that the clothes are not going to dry there, but we didn't expect this. We had bought a little tub of hand wash, like to hand wash your clothes in the sink, just in case we needed to top up whilst in between washing machines or something in a hotel, because we stayed in a hotel, so some of the places had washing machines. However, this didn't work because we soon found out that when we hand washed our clothes and put them out on the balcony to dry, they weren't drying because the humidity was so, it was just so humid that the clothes weren't drying. We had left these clothes out for 2 days already and they were not drying. We tried them in the room as well and that wasn't really working. Like, the clothes just did not dry. You need a dryer. So if you are going out there, be prepared and know that when you do a wash, you're gonna have to wash it. You can hand wash it if you want, but you will probably have to dry it in an actual machine, and this costs money. And the wash took 2 hours, and then the dryer took about an hour or so, or the other way around. So on total, it took us around three or so hours to do our washing basically, and the reason this matters is because when you're traveling, especially like we did with a backpack, I mean, I guess it would apply for a suitcase as well, but wet clothes is not what you want to be carrying. We were carrying wet clothes, like a bag of them. So we had bagged all the wet clothes because it didn't dry and we had to move on to the next destination. We had bagged all of them and put them in our bags and carried that on our back, and wet clothes are heavier than drier clothes, obviously. So that added weight, as well as them actually just sitting in our bag wet. We are very lucky that we were not too far from the next destination, so we ended up only had carried these for like a few hours on a bus. But I can imagine if you're traveling for over a day or so with this, your clothes could just get mouldy, obviously in that dampness in your bag. So yeah, that was something that I would really account for, that hand washing is not going to be reliable. You can hand wash it, but you will need an actual dryer. And the next thing I feel like is so obvious and so many people told me, and I feel like everyone who's planning on going hears this all the time: pack versatile clothing pieces. And it's not so much that I wish I knew I did this, because I kind of did do this, and that's why I'm saying this point, because I feel like it really was helpful. But instead of taking a floral dress, for example, and then a floral printed shirt, I just took the plain one. So when I was packing, I was picking between certain pieces of clothing that were the same but different colours. And for example, I had a blue striped shirt and an orange plain shirt, and I ended up taking the orange one, and I got a lot more use out of it than I would have a blue striped shirt, because that one was plain and it went with everything, whereas the blue striped one would not have gone with nearly as many things. And versatile pieces that you can style as like multiple things in once. So I had a brown, huge, like beach sarong. It was kind of just a square of fabric that I had taken, and I wore it as a sarong on the beach. I had tucked it up and worn it as a mini skirt. I used it in my backpack that I was traveling with, my little one that was in front of me, and I put it in there just in case we needed like a blanket for anything on the plane or on the bus, just as like an extra layer. We could have used it as like to cover our heads in the sun. Like, it was so versatile, and I could have used it as a top. I could have made it into a dress. It was just such a good piece of, like, just a good item of clothing to take, because you can literally use it a million different ways, and that's the type of stuff that you need to be thinking of taking. Plain, basic, minimal things that you know you can wear multiple ways. Yeah, another example would be a elastic tube top that I had that you can wear as a mini skirt. So it was a black tube, like stretchy top, just like a bandeau one, and it was long enough to wear as a mini skirt as well. So that is like kind of like a 2-in-1, so it saves you packing a black skirt as well as a black top. The next thing is taxis. We actually ended up getting a lot of taxis there, and they are a lot cheaper than they are in England, but I don't think I accounted for how much we would need to get taxis, because there are set times as to when buses and stuff go, and you need to get there on time, and if you don't, you're going to miss it. And a lot of the time in Asia, these public transports aren't very reliable, like the local ones, so we would try and rely on a local bus to get to the bus station that we were getting our coach from. However, this bus wouldn't turn up, and we would end up having to get a taxi to make it on time, because you don't want to be missing your transfers to your next place. But one app that I did use a lot was the app Grab, and this was so useful. The only thing is that you do need internet for it, so we were connecting to free Wi-Fi's, but I would recommend maybe getting data if you're out there for a longer time. We also had Bolt that you could use in a few places. This wasn't everywhere, you couldn't use it everywhere, but Grab you could use in everywhere that we had been in. And it was very, very useful. So I do recommend downloading the app Grab if you're planning on being there for a while, because you don't know when you actually might need a taxi. So the next point is packing less in case you want to buy out there. Now, this is something that I also got told before I went out. Someone did say to me, maybe leave some space in case you find something out there and you want to bring it home. And I didn't leave space, because that wasn't my thought process. My thought process was take as much as I could carry, just so I have a range of clothes to wear. But I do wish that I took a bit less, so I could have bought some more, because there was a lot of times where I was at the market or shopping centres and I saw something really nice that I would have loved to take home, but I genuinely didn't have the space, and it would have really been a struggle. And this applies to clothes as well as little trinkets or items or anything. And I really do wish that I had accounted for that a little bit more. If you're buying like a big lot of stuff, like home decorations or clothes or whatnot, or even like fridge magnets and stuff, then you could look into actually shipping it home to yourself, so you don't have to carry it with you for the whole duration of your travels. I have seen a few people do this, however that's probably more of a expensive option. Now the next one is tuk-tuks. Now, I wasn't sure whether to include this, because a lot of people might think, oh, it's something that I want to do, and that is fine. It is a big part of the culture to get a tuk-tuk when you go to Bangkok or wherever. We decided to not do this because every time we had attempted to get one, we felt like we were going to get scammed. So there is a thing in mainly Bangkok, but I'm not too sure in other areas. It was Bangkok where we experienced it, so that's where I'm applying this to. But what they do is they get you into the tuk-tuk, they try and explain to you about this great tour that they're going to give you. They'll take you here, they'll take you here, they'll take you here for a certain amount of money, and you think it's a great deal because they'll take you to all the tourist destinations and you'll just have to get in and out of the tuk-tuk. Seems great, except the last stop they fail to tell you is actually to a tailor shop, or usually something along the lines of that, where the tailor shop actually pays the tuk-tuk drivers to take all the tourists to their shop, so that they're like forced into the clothes shop and then they have like a suit made for them or whatsoever. So a lot of them participate in this. We found that most of the ones that we had tried to get to, were trying to do this to us because they said, oh, last shop is the tailor shop, and we always said no, we weren't interested in buying a suit. We said it nicely and they were still quite forceful with it. So we ended up just leaving tuk-tuks for the whole duration of our trip, which is quite sad because it was something that we really wanted to try out. But we just felt like it was a better option to just get a taxi if we needed to. I'm not saying all of the tuk-tuk drivers are going to be doing this because I'm sure that they're not, but a lot of them do try and do this. And once you're in that tailor shop, like it'll probably be a bit awkward or uncomfortable to try and get out of it. So we just avoided getting into that situation. Now, the next one is kind of just like a little point that I wanted to add because I just found it really intriguing, and I don't know if anyone else is going to watch this video and think, yeah, I also thought that was going to be prevalent. Like, you know, when you're little and you think that quicksand is going to be such a big issue in your life, and then you actually grow up and you've never ever come across quicksand and you're like, oh, well, I forgot that even existed because I thought I was going to be getting stuck into quicksand every week or so. Well, my version of that is snakes. I am the person to Google what kind of animals are where I'm going, especially reptiles, because I just don't like them. I don't like snakes, just like some people don't like spiders, and they'll Google what kind of spiders there are on their holiday that they're going to. I did this with snakes, and there's quite a lot of snakes in Asia, obviously. It's tropical environment, there's pythons and loads of that stuff, which I was preparing myself. I was genuinely thinking that every time we'd leave the hotel, we'd just run into multiple snakes. We didn't see a single one the whole time we were there, not a single snake. So if this is going to ease your mind about snakes or spiders or whatever, we genuinely didn't come across any of them. The only thing we came across was a weird looking centipede scorpion thing on a hike in the middle of the forest, and it was tiny, and we just walked around the thing. So other than that, we didn't come across anything. We didn't come across insects, reptiles, nothing like what I thought I would. So I just thought that's worth mentioning because it might ease someone's mind about the animals that they might come across. Now, the next thing is actually something that is really important, and I don't think a lot of people mention this, but if you are planning on getting flights within one country or from one country to the other in Asia rather than getting overnight buses or something, one thing to consider is that the scales change in every single airport you will go to. So when we left from Manchester Airport, our bags weighed around 10 kg, 11 kg each. And as we were going from one place to the other, sometimes we got flights, sometimes we got buses. But what I noticed is that every time we had weighed our bags at different airports within Asia, the baggage came up very differently. At one time it was 15 kg, the other it was 18, the next it was 12. Every single time it was changing, and we had the exact same amount of things, the exact same things in our bags, so nothing had changed with the bag. It was the scale that was different depending on where you're going. And what I can imagine would have happened to some people is they leave England thinking that their bag is 18 kg and they've got 20 kg limit, so it's fine. And England, it is fine. It will probably be 18 kg. However, when you get there, if the scale is different and you're then trying to take the same bag to the airport, but theirs weighs you 4 kg over, that will come up as 22 kg instead of 18 when you left. And that's going to be heavier, and you're going to get charged, or they will just refuse to let your bag be put on. which I can imagine be really stressful, and it's something that you don't want happening. So I would bear in mind to generally underpack your bag quite a bit. So if you have a 20 kg luggage limit, don't pack it until 17, 18, 19, because you probably will find that if you're going to be weighing it in Asia whilst you're going to and from different places, it might change the weight depending on where you are. So it didn't happen to us, luckily, because we really underpacked, because there's only so much things you can carry in your back. But with a suitcase and stuff, you don't want that to be happening to you whilst you're away. Now, my final point for things that I kind of wish I knew, but this doesn't really apply to me wishing I knew it, because I never would have kind of fallen for this type of stuff. But I know that a lot of people don't know about the harmful effects of this because they simply aren't aware, and that's completely not their fault. These places do trick you, but it is animal attractions, like tourist attractions that include animals. So we actually, it was one of the upsetting parts of being away, that we did see a lot of animal attractions where we didn't go to these, but where tigers were in small concrete cages, crocodiles, like 50 of them in a dirty pool, used for shows, sea lions used for shows, like these animals being in horrible conditions, and these people profiting off them from tourists going to see them. And we researched into this, and that is my advice to you. Please, if you're planning on going to an elephant sanctuary or any animal attraction whilst you're traveling in Asia, make sure that it's an ethical one. And by that I mean genuinely ethical, because a lot of them will state that they are and they're not. They will say that they are ethical and they do this and that, but there are telltale signs as to what is actually ethical and what isn't. If you're holding a baby tiger, it's not ethical. That is really harmful. If you're bathing them, this is especially relevant for elephant sanctuaries. A lot of them let you bathe them, and that is just not something you want to be contributing towards. It's very harmful, and you can read more into this on Google as to why, because I don't want to go too deep into it. But elephant sanctuaries are known to be quite and people are unsure on whether they're ethical or not, and there are ethical ones for sure. There are. We did go to one that I really recommend, and it was Phuket Elephant Sanctuary, and they have a partnership with the Chiang Mai one, which are both known to be very good, reputable, ethical elephant sanctuaries. I would argue that the other ones most of the time are not. And I see a lot of people going and bathing them and riding them, and then saying that they're at a sanctuary, but that my recording just randomly stopped. But yeah, this isn't a sanctuary for animals. Wild animals like elephants, who have been in a circus for the most of their life, do not want to be then getting touched and bathed every time a new person comes around, and that is your telltale sign. Just if you think about it, why would an elephant need a bath 50 times a day just because there's 50 tourists that day and every single one is guaranteed a bath, like a bathing experience with the elephant? Guaranteeing that means that they are forcing the animal to do that every single time, because they're guaranteeing every single tourist the same thing. Just like guaranteed playtime or guaranteed photograph with baby tiger. That baby tiger is then going to have to go through 50, 60, 70 pictures an hour with humans with flash on and hurting their eyes and all this harmful effects on the animal just for the sake of it. And these people profit off this, and it's just horrible to see, and it's so upsetting. So this is arguably my biggest point. Please research. If you are planning on going to see anything to do with animals, research that it's good. This also applies to boat tours. A lot of boat tours guarantee dolphin diving experiences or swimming experiences, and what they end up doing is throwing food into the ocean for them every single time to get them to come close to the boat where there are actually humans, and then they end up relying on this for a food source, and then when the boat isn't there, they end up actually losing their instincts to hunt, because they are relying on humans feeding them. You should not be interfering with wildlife like that, and anything that is doing anything of the sort is just not ethical. So please research into this if you are planning on doing anything like this. Just if you want to look into it and you are someone that cares, Google how to spot ethical or unethical animal attractions whilst traveling, and you will find so much information about this, just like we did. So yeah, this is probably the one that I would say please focus on the most, because it, for me as well, it's so heartbreaking seeing animals being treated cruelly just for the benefit of humans. Now, going on to things that I think you will need, and this is going to be a quick little list because it's really not that much. So the first one is a little camera adapter. So I'm actually going to show you what I mean because it was so useful and it was the best thing that I'd ever bought. Guys, I honestly just found finding it, but I can't find it. But anyway, so it's a little cable like about this long, and it's an adapter from your camera to your phone, and it's basically you can put a little micro SD card, or the bigger ones that go into like a camera, into one end, and then you can get one for every different kind of phone. I have an iPhone, so I had one for an iPhone. You plug it into your phone and you can import images directly from the SD card onto your phone, and this is so useful if you've got a digital camera or just a DSLR or anything, or you like vlogging, because you can directly just put things on rather than taking a laptop with you or connecting to a computer to import things onto your phone. I think I got mine on Amazon for like £4 or £5. Definitely the best purchase I made, and it just meant that I could literally access my photos from my camera the day that I took them, and that was just really useful. Now the next thing is a flask, and I've got it right here. This time I actually do have it, so I'm going to show you. So this is the flask that I had. It's just like a metal, I don't know, I knocked on it like that, just like a metal flask. I got this from TK Maxx for £8. You do not need an expensive Stanley flask. I mean, if you want one or if you've already got one, that's great. But I literally just got this from TK Maxx for £8, and it came with a little clippy tag at the top, which was really useful as well because we could just clip it to our backpacks. So something like this that you can clip at the top, very useful whilst you're traveling. It keeps your drink cold all day. So we put our plastic water bottle in the fridge, we filled it in the morning when we were heading out somewhere, with the cold water, and then it was ice cold all day long. And when you're in Asia and it's 35 to 40 degrees, humid, warm weather all day, you need some cold water. To tie in with that is like a little waterproof phone cases, so you can buy these on Amazon as well. So it's like a waterproof little see-through case thing that you slot your phone into, and you can clip it at the top and it makes it airtight. And we used this every time we'd go to the beach or we were on a boat or whatever, because if we didn't feel like we wanted to leave our phones at the hotel, but we also didn't want to leave it on the beach, or we just wanted to go around and take pictures in the ocean, I ended up using this and getting a few videos for my vlog underwater whilst we were scuba diving, just on my phone. So if you haven't got like a waterproof phone or camera or whatever, then this is really useful. I think it's like £2 or £3 for this as well, and we used it so much. We also used it in our previous holidays as well, so it's just another thing that you don't need, but it is something that I think would be really nice to have. And my last thing, that is also one of the most important things, is a little poncho. I can't find. So I think it was called a Pacamax, and it's a little raincoat that you can stuff into a little bag. And it's like this big, the little bag is like this big, and you can put it into like a little backpack, or it's got like a little tie at the top, so you can just tie it outside of your bag, which is what I did a lot of the time. And it's just a waterproof coat or a little poncho thing that goes into this little bag, so it's really compact. And with it being Asia, it's very humid and it can rain, especially if you're going around September. We did experience rain, not as much as we actually expected really, but it did rain sometimes, and we did need this because it's torrential rain there. It's really heavy. It's a proper downpour, so the last thing you want is to be getting soaked, and if we didn't have these raincoats, we would have ended up getting soaked a lot of the time. We did carry it with us most of the days, just in case. We didn't need it a lot of the time, but most of the time, if we did, it was really good that we had them on hand. I really recommend looking into buying a little Pacamax, something specifically that you can fit into a small area, because you don't want to be carrying around a huge raincoat with you. But it is something that you definitely need, and that ties into buying a bag, a actual hiking bag that you're going to be taking your stuff in, with a poncho for that as well, because you also do not want it to rain on the day that you're traveling and your whole backpack with all of your stuff in getting absolutely soaked. So that's two things that you probably want to look into getting a raincoat for, a little pack of Max and one for your bag as well. You can, I'm sure if your bag doesn't come with one, you can order one specifically for a bag on Amazon. So that was my video. I really hope that this video was in focus, because this was the first time that I've actually properly used this like a camera, because all my vlogs were on my phone. So I'm really hoping that it came out okay. And I'm sorry if this video was long. I just really wanted to try and get everything into it. I definitely probably also forgot a lot of the things that I was actually going to say. If you've got any questions, ask me, and I hope that helped someone a little bit. I think it would have helped me if I actually watched a video like this, so I hope it helped. But yeah, stay tuned, or go watch my vlog, guys, to see what we actually did everywhere we went to, and to get a little idea of what you should go and do. Bye!